Welcome fellow DIYers. Today's video I'm going to show you how to achieve this chic and trendy accent wall, starting now. As usual when painting, I prepped the wall and covered the floors. Now I'm going to start painting the wall, and I'm going to go in with the color Zen from Behr. I bought this from Home Depot and I believe it was about $35 for the gallon. I started off with the mini roller and I painted around the outlet. I have noticed that everyone paints differently, and I don't think there is a correct way of painting. But on that note, my father-in-law is actually a professional painter, and he taught my husband how to paint. So my husband guided me along the way as I was painting, and I just want to share what I learned just in case you are a beginner as I am. So the first thing that I learned is that we're going to paint vertically, and you always want to start from the top to the bottom. You also want to have a decent amount of paint on your roller, but not too much where it's going to bleed out. And then it's all about having a steady hand and just the right amount of pressure as you're painting the wall. The next step was to go in with an angle brush and paint the edges. And you might be wondering why I didn't do this before, but again, this is how my husband guided me, being that he was taking the tips that he learned from his father. Here is probably one of my favorite tips, is that when you go in to fill your edges, you want to go in with the swaying motions with the same angle brush. Just go front to back, that way the paint blends in and there's no signs of streakiness left behind. The painting process took me about a couple of days just because my walls are so textured that I let it fully dry before I went in with the other coat. I believe that the best part of painting is the actual painting itself and not so much of cleaning up afterwards. I did not realize how much tape I had used, and I still had to go in and touch up. But you know what, for it being the first time that I've painted, I think I did a really good job. For the design itself, this is the inspirational picture that I got from Pinterest, and then I went in and I sketched out a very simple design that I knew wasn't going to be very complicated to create. And then I had my husband help me out with measuring because I am not good with measuring whatsoever. I'm getting there, but not quite there yet. But you know what? It was a family affair. Georgie chipped in. He did his due diligence with this project. And then we went in and measured everything that we needed, and we went in and used 1/2 by 3/4 of this pine trim. My husband went in and cut all of the pieces of trimming that we were going to need. And then afterwards, I went in with a very fine sandpaper of 150 grit and sanded down all of the edges of the trimming. This is not a necessary step, but I truly recommend it. It makes a world of a difference when adding on your stain of choice. After I was done sanding all of the trimming, I did go in with this Varathane gel stain in the color Golden Oak, and I have used this in a previous project and it's still my favorite stain. For whatever reason, it just dries almost immediately. So it's so nice for home projects like this. But in case you were wondering, I did go in with a clean rag and I wiped off any dust particles prior to staining. Once all of the trimming was dry, we went in old school with hammer and finishing nails to adhere it onto the wall. I wanted to invest in a nail gun and my husband was like, we don't need one. We have a hammer and that's all we need. But needless to say that after this project, he was truly convinced that we do need to invest in a nail gun for any type of future projects. To ensure that I was getting the design right on the wall from the sketch I had created earlier, I used washing tape to mark, if you will, and this just helped me to reassure that all the trimming that was to be placed in the middle was evenly spaced out. We decided to use a level for the actual design itself. Come to find out, the walls in the house are not even, and this was helpful to ensure that the design was straight as possible. This first part of the design was really easy to put up, only when it came to mirroring the second part, it became a little frustrating, if you will. And here is my silly husband. There's never a dull moment when he is around. Anyways, I think in the end, what helped out the most was actually taking a step back to the other side of the wall and matching it up from that end. And here are the results. I am so satisfied with the outcome, but I think what I'm most satisfied about is stepping out of my comfort zone, to try something new to fit my style. Also, I know that the walls are very bland, but that's just because I'm working on some DIYs, so make sure you look out for those videos. I know I didn't mention a lot of the materials that I use, but everything that I used was from Home Depot, and I will leave them listed for you down below in the description box. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and are encouraged to try something new or similar. I also hope you consider subscribing for more room makeovers, and until then, have a beautiful and blessed day. Bye!